All right, we are live, back with a Week 5 Guillotine Greatness preview, and I'm joined by a squad here. First off, Ryan, as usual. Say hello.
Hello.
Now we also have David, my brother, in here.
Hey, what's up?
And Johnny, John Lamb.
Hello.
We got a crew here. Johnny will have to hop off sometime midway through, but thought I'd get more league mates in here, get some more perspectives, get some opinions, so it's not just me blabbering for an hour every time. But yeah, let's hop right into it. First off, I guess Derrick Henry with now back-to-back, disgustingly dominant weeks, and now they play the Bengals, so I'm terrified because we have the worst interior defensive line. It's so banged up right now. So in theory, he's going for 200 again, but we'll see. First order of business, Jack Colston is back. He's resurrected. He had a pretty decent team. I thought he put together a pretty solid team for having no fab. So he really did his research on those deeper down guys, and he's back in it. But it's an uphill battle once you even get back in, because now 2 are on the block this week, including he could be one of them. 3 of you include Joey, who's probably toast. He hasn't really put a team together yet. But we'll see. It's tough. It's tough once you come back. And now we've got Joey in the gulag, so tough scene for him. All the injuries really plagued his team this entire year, just like David, but David is still here.
For now.
All right, Johnny, you were the feature on this slide, the elite of Week 4.
Let's go.
Average score of 123, up 2% from last week, 120. Still on the year, Week 1 is still had the highest top 25% average, which has the same thing happened last year, which makes no sense to me, that when there's 18 teams, why the average is the highest Week 1 of the top. And I think it's, I don't know, just because of randomness, no one knows yet, so a couple teams get lucky and have really good lineups, so that top average is higher. But JC and Potter also making it in here at 2 and 3. Now only 3 people in the top 25% because we're down to 16 people. And the bottom 25%. So ironically, I got the top and the bottom. The trash can and the star of the week are on. So David, Jack, and Ryan average score of
representing garbage everywhere.
Average score of 74, which is down from the floor last week of 81. Last week the floor was pretty high. 81, even for a couple weeks, is going to be a pretty high floor. So, okay. Moving on. To quickly looking at the Thursday night and Monday night, this will be a good game tonight, I think. A lot of guys starting. I counted 12, and then Joey even has the Falcons defense to make it 13 people in the starting lineups this week. Both 2 running backs from each team, multiple receivers from each team, tight end, quarterback, all are in. So I know some people will have more than one. I know Ben has 2 people tonight. I think it's 3 people have 2 people tonight. So a lot could already have happened by the end of this game. I have Godwin tonight, so actually I have 2. I have Godwin and Mooney, so I need a shootout here. But I don't know. You guys have any opinions on this game? I think it'll be a good one.
Something about the Falcons.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, I'm hoping it's great too because it should be on paper, but something about the Falcons, and Kirk Cousins in prime time, and the Falcons' history recently, I just have a feeling it's going to be an unwarranted dud when it should be good, and I'm afraid of that.
Kirk Cousins, primetime Kirk, just dominated against the Eagles, so.
Yeah.
That's true.
Didn't primetime Kirk used to be a curse, he couldn't do anything in primetime?
Exactly.
Because I feel also division games, they always seem to have a way of being these 13 to 10 slugfests. So I hope not, even though I don't have anyone on this team, so maybe I should be hoping for that.
yeah. If you have no one tonight, you were just rooting for a terrible game.
I never want to watch a terrible game, though.
That's
so.
Yeah. But a couple things. Actually, I think Cousins is on Matt's bench because he has Dak. An interesting one to watch that I would call out is Jack Potter has Pitts and Bucky Irving, and Pitts just put up a dud, and Bucky Irving, he's good floor play, I think, but no guarantee he scores or pops off. So Potter could be in a tough spot after tonight. but we'll see. And the Monday night game should be kind of interesting. Not a lot of Saints players on rosters. Derek Carr, I don't know, is being started. I think Jake has him. But then there's Kamara, Olave, Shaheed, and then no one else. And then Chiefs. Interestingly, I think all three running backs right now are being started, or they're at least rostered. Kareem Hunt, P. Ryan, Steele. And in theory, someone's getting the short end of the stick there. Steele kind of lost the job last week after he fumbled. So it might be the Kareem Hunt show, but other than that,
Let's hope.
Yeah, you have him, don't
season.
you? You have a Hunt, right, David?
I somehow, it was like a 3-way tie at 11, and they gave it to me because I was at the bottom of the, or I guess I had a higher tiebreaker because I was the second lowest scorer on the week.
Gosh.
That's why you pull your guys.
Exactly. That's been Ryan's strategy the whole year. And I guess the other, point to make tonight is to see what the Chiefs do at wide receiver, or maybe just Kelsey benefits a ton from not having Rashee Rice and obviously never having Hollywood Brown. So now it's obviously Xavier Worthy is a good shot, a good startable guy. But then after that, is it going to be Juju? Is it going to be Justin Watson? I have Justin Watson on my bench. I'm not going to start him.
Is someone starting Juju?
No, but I threw him in there. Oh no, I think Joey is. I think
Joey
picked him up.
Joey is.
So
that's a good flyer.
I think it is a great flyer. Joey doesn't even have a full lineup yet, but I think Juju is a great flyer. If you're looking for someone that might have some crazy upside that is free on waivers, so
that'd be crazy. If Juju has a good game. The resurrection for him would be wild.
That'd be if Joey, it would be a miracle if Joey pulls it off. But yeah, here we are with the Week 4 standings. Just total points for on the year. Jack has been resurrected. He was through weeks 1 and 2 at the very top, and now he's kind of back in the middle, as it would make sense because he just had a pretty low-scoring week. Joey had been riding the bottom of this leaderboard the entire season, and now he finally got chopped, or he's in the gulag. So yeah, Jonny, you've taken the lead though. You've taken the crown of most points for on the year at this point. So congratulations.
Who was the person that went out last year with tons of fab?
Who was
early?
It was Mark.
Where was he? Do you remember where he was in the standings?
No, number 1.
Oh my gosh! So it's coming to fruition. It's coming to fruition.
And he was 1 or 2, and he had the most fab. So look out! You have the Mark curse.
We need a league history. There's so many times I wanted to go back and check statistics of things. And
go watch. You can pull back the weekly videos if you want.
I guess that's just through your YouTube. That's the easiest way to do it, right?
Yeah, because they're all unlisted, so you'd have to, in theory, find the link from the previous. Yeah, that's tough. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know why I have them unlisted, because it's not like anyone else is really going to be watching these.
Man, the public is going to want to see these. You should publicize.
No, listen, that'd be helpful. And there's times I want to go back and look at fab from last year and see who spent what on who. I'm just curious. Yeah. And the scroll of going all the way up is a journey.
Yeah, I want to say the biggest one I remember from last year was Jack. Because if I remember by week 3, Jack, who ended up winning the league, had 3 fab in week 3, no joke. And I want to say he spent 80 plus on Kelsey. And Kelsey was okay last year, but that surprisingly didn't kill him. He was able to make it work after that, and he won the league. So
the funny thing with Jack last year too. Sorry, there's a bunch of cars going by, but
no, I don't even hear him.
He. There was a Monday night game where all he had left was AJ Dillon, and he needed 15 from AJ Dillon, and he got it, and that's the only reason why he survived. It was I think week 6 or 7, and I remember he texted Fleming and I in the morning. I was like, wow, I can't believe AJ Dillon got 15. It might be his highest it might have been his highest game all year. Yeah,
yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like something that's fun to track is the most unlikely survivor. I think right now that's probably Potter with the whole Jaden Daniels move. That we saved him by 1 point with that last bomb touchdown to Terry McLaurin was put him 1 point over. That was crazy. That's probably the most crazy survival at this point off from a Monday night. But yeah. I guess moral of the story, I will make all the old videos public so that you guys can go back and watch them if you want and pull old statistics and waiver claims or whatnot. But Yeah, Joey's on the block. Jack is resurrected. The economy, Johnny, you've come down a bit. You spent on Mixon, as we'll get into that. I'm still over 100. I didn't spend any this week. I just gained a little bit. I feel like even after coming off a bad week, I should be okay. I feel like that was an uncharacteristically bad week, and they should like regress back to the norm. My guys should regress back positively to more scoring. Huff finally spent
Progress.
Yeah, yes. Huff
Regress positively.
well, like regress back to like regressing is just going back to the normal.
You meant like regression to the mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Regression to the mean.
Yeah. See, I just can't speak. Huff finally spent a little bit, but he's at 95. But I guess the big thing here is David is now at 6 fab. Jack came back with 51, and he spent 30. He's down to 21. And everyone else is pretty much floating around this like 50 to 80 range. Mark got the other big thing is Mark got a bunch of fab by throwing like a bunch of mid players at Jack. He got like almost 30 fab, I think, for guys that he wasn't even going to start. So now Mark has a really good team still, and he got fab back. So now he's back to top of the market in fab. So Mark's in a great spot. But
I love that strategy. But I'm just going to say that now that my bench is completely barren and I have some bye weeks and an injury,
it gets a little dicey.
It gets dicey. I'm feeling like I got to make some moves before Sunday. So
the bye weeks start becoming a factor, like big time. I know, David, this is your first time doing this, but it's interesting. Like, how much can you trade away? Like, if you have a guy on bye on your bench, like, and you need someone else, like, do you trade that person away? There's a lot of strategy into just having one player sitting out for 1 week and what you do with that. Or, like, is it good to try to trade for someone who's on bye because you're likely to get them for cheaper? So...
Yeah, I really hadn't thought about it at all until this week when I realized that buys were starting, and that's when it hit me like, oh wow, a really good team could easily lose because of bye weeks.
My analysis every week has to become a little bit more precise because I have to look at each team and see like who normally is good but now has people on bye to factor into like who might be in trouble this week. So
I think it's great that this league has such a small bench because it makes things like this like. It makes the league more dynamic. So
yeah, you can't just stash. It's fun. You have to make moves, and there's a good chance you'll have more players on bye in 1 week than your bench. Like you'll have to get rid of some of them to have a starter, but that's kind of unlikely, but it's possible. We are under 1,000 fab left in circulation already, so people are spending fast, and I think Johnny and I are. Well, you just spent, but I'm kind of holding on. I'm holding on.
It hurts.
It hurts. You're still at 119. You're doing fine. So yeah, I didn't really edit any labels here, but we can just see Johnny has, starting this week is when you really tore ahead, and now you're kind of back. But there's a pretty clear distinction between. You can see the distinction continue to grow as the weeks go on. But last week, Joey, right here below the line, got chopped. So the trend from last year hasn't really continued. It seems like. Last year it was high fab teams continually getting eliminated, and this year that is not happening. So we will see. We will see what happens. Johnny and I are in trouble maybe. My quick week 4 overview, or my thought this week is potentially maybe you don't need to overreact to bad performances. And I'm kind of talking about myself here and probably some other people as well. For Michael Pittman, I kind of panic traded him away because I was like, he's toast. He's not going to be good, and 1 more week of being a bum, and he'll have no value at all. So I just got rid of him. But to be fair, Joe Flacco came in, and I think that affected his performance. But before Flacco even came in, he was getting some catches from Anthony Richardson. But yeah, so through the first 4 weeks, it seems like the teams that have made fewer moves are much safer each week. That is, if they drafted well enough. So I'm calling out here Huff, James, JC, Phillip. They haven't done that much. Phillip did his one big move for Bijan, but that's pretty much it. JC, James, Huff been pretty quiet. Their teams are good. They have fab still. Phillip does not have fab because of the Bijan thing, but I'm still counting him in this kind of group of not really making major moves every week or like a bunch of little moves. So yeah, one could argue that with more moves comes more volatility, whereas if you stick with your same guys week over week, your players may have some bad weeks, but they also might have some good weeks, but on average, you'll do well enough to get by each week, as opposed to just like, oh, my guy had a bad week, I want to trade him away, I'm scared to start him again. Because I'm guilty of that. and I feel like some other people might be guilty of that as well. But buys this week: Lions, Eagles, Chargers, Titans. There's lots of names in there. Montgomery, Saquon, probably the biggest ones. Amon-Ra. So tough week. I know Jake is especially. His team is already not good. As I've said week over week, I don't know how he's still here. But he has A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts on bye. A.J. Brown's been hurt anyway, but now Jalen Hurts on bye is going to be tough. So, and then next up, for those that like to think ahead, we got the Chiefs, Vikings, Dolphins, Rams on bye. So, definitely some significant players on those teams as well.
Coop would have been screwed if he was still here.
Yeah, because what? He had Mahomes.
No. Well, I meant like his redeem team, where it was just the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, because, yeah, he had all Vikings. I mean, you would think if by this point he would have upgraded a little bit from that. But Darnold was a stud. Like, he had Darnold. Darnold's like the top 5 QB this year so far, as David knows, because he traded him away. But
I regret everything.
I mean, yeah, it's funny to think you can look back at that and say, I would have survived no matter what. Actually, Goff would have made you not be a trash can last week, so.
Yeah, at the time it seemed like a good idea.
I mean, I still like the move long term generally. I mean, the fab hurts, but Josh Allen's Josh Allen, so as long as he doesn't put up his every other week single-digit performance. Okay, before I get into these charts, it's really just these charts and then the teams. Jonny, I know you have to hop off soon. Do you need to go in like a minute or two here?
I do.
Okay.
This is a good break point.
We're going to take the break point here. At the end, Ryan and David will also give their predictions to who they think may get eliminated this week. There are 2 on the block, so you can say 2 people if you want to. I'm saying 2 people. So, Jonny, gut feel. Who you got this week? Who are the 2 guys that need to panic a little bit?
I know I don't personally know everybody. Much love to you all. I think, so if I get the actual names wrong, forgive me. But Jake, I think he's like one of the not in the gulag, like actual like go to the gulag kind of situations. So that's my number 1 vote. I can't believe it worked out for him last week with some of the double starts with Elijah Moore and Jared Jeudy and then the 2 Denver running backs. I just feel like that's going to regress to not the best outcome. And then I have personal vendetta against Swift for just being someone I believed in. And then as soon as I stopped believing in him, he popped off. I don't care if it's Carolina. I don't care if it's Carolina. I think he's going to put up a dud. And so I think the other 2 comparable people are Dave and who's that? There's one other team where like they're struggling a little bit. Maybe it was Jack W. Whatever
I guess he's resurrected, so it's kind of.
Well, that's actually ironic. Well, I mean, it's just like looking at the rosters. I like some like the low name plays a little bit better, I guess, in just comparison. So that's why I'm putting Jake up there. Sorry.
Okay.
And then
fair point.
And I didn't even think about a second person. So I.
Sounds like you called out David.
I know. I'd probably go with
breaking news: Big Fudge Joey has added Taysom Hill now.
Hey, if he was healthy, I'll probably go with Jack. Fortunately,
Jack. Okay.
Wait, Jack. That Jack, like WC4. He's the one that works at Trinity, right? That high school that's near me. Ryan or someone.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to pair which Jack was which, but we ran into each other for the first time in person the other day at a game. So. That's pretty funny.
Did you bring up the Guillotine League?
No, we didn't really have too much time to talk, but shout out to him. We should have gotten a picture to send to the group because it's just funny. That's small world. Alrighty.
That's awesome. All right, Jonny. Well, thank you for hopping on for like 20 minutes. But yeah, have a good one.
Alrighty. Peace.
See ya. All right, into the graphs. Still have Ryan and David on. And, every week we have a lot of people in the green because we have the one person that is gulag down here. In theory, like, if this line was redrawn without Joey, I might be in the yellow, you know what I mean? Because the median line or the average line would go up. But in the red here we've got, and this is, by the way, Sleeper and Fantasy Pros projections, Jack, David, Jake, JC. Ben's pretty close, and then Potter and Matt are looking better in terms of Fantasy Pros, but Sleeper not as much. And then me and Ryan are kind of just barely above this middle line. And then a lot of the same names we've seen in the green: Mark, Phillip, Jonny, James, Fleming, Huff. All those guys have good teams at this point. And now you're next week versus the rest of the season, so who's looking better long-term compared to short-term? I guess no one's in this category where they're looking significantly better long term as opposed to short term. I guess Ben's kind of close to it because he has Saquon. I guess that's why he's almost down in here because Saquon's on bye, but obviously Saquon's great rest of season. And Matt is the opposite. He's looking a little better now, but not a great outlook for the rest of the season. And then JC, Jake, David are also down in here in the bad, and Jack as well, but can't really blame him. He's just trying to rebuild at this point with what he has, with the little fab that he has. And lastly, the position strength versus budget. Yeah, David, you're not in a great spot. Just below the average of position strength, but you have like no fab either. So definitely not where you want to be, but you're not out of it, you know, even though there are 2 on the block this week, so that makes it even harder to get by. But yeah, a lot of the same names again in the green. Mark, Potter, Huff, Jonny, James. I'm up there because I have a lot of fab. But honestly, like I said before, if you get rid of Joey and even Jack, the line is probably more like right here, where me and Ryan and Ben, like we're actually would be on the left side of this line relative to like this segment right here. So I don't actually feel that safe. I just have a lot of fab. JC and Jake, I was kind of surprised to see JC this low. They have him as the second, I mean, outside of Jack and Joey.
I was too. I don't get that.
A team that is weaker than David's team on paper.
I don't buy that.
Yeah, I don't know. But we'll get into Jake's team because he's been really consistent. I don't think Jake has fallen outside of like the top 8 on any given week. Like he's always in the upper half, getting by every week pretty safely. So
I think he's gotten some stellar performances to get him there. I think he got like 30 from. Oh, you talking Jake or JC?
Oh, I was saying JC, but yeah, Jake too. Jake had the Kyron and then the DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I think JC's had some duds with like Keon Coleman and Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's going to be on the come up, and he's not starting Keon Coleman anymore. So I think he'll be fine. Yeah,
I think Shakir is questionable, but I don't think he's going to miss time. But if in theory he did, then Keon Coleman may be a play.
Yeah, I think Shakir's playing, but
yeah, he should be. But yeah, pretty much all that is to say here. And this is where it gets interesting. Like I said, having a 3 doesn't mean you get to be up here. I think me and Ryan are 2 3s that have kind of fallen into this. I mean, I've been up here, and I think I deserve to be here now. I don't think I'm with these guys in terms of team strength anymore, but I wouldn't say I'm bad. I'm just mid now. But Mark, Jonny, Huff, James, I think are the teams that are the 3s that deserve to be here. And the other good teams that are strong now are Fleming, Phillip, Ben. Ben without Saquon is tough, or just for this week, but he should be fine. And Fleming and Phillip just don't have a lot of fab. Fleming did get a bunch of fab back now. It's funny how the move to get rid of Josh Allen, you think that would hurt his team's strength, but I think Sam Darnold is a fine replacement, and now he has fab.
Dude, he's the number 4. He's the number 4 fantasy quarterback on the year.
He is
so far. Like getting, yeah.
To be fair, let's be honest. Do we think he's going to end as the QB4?
I think he ends top 10.
Sure, I would guess like 8, 9, which is way better than he was projected at the beginning of the season. But if Fleming makes it to the championship, I don't think he's starting Sam Darnold.
I mean, okay, that's a fair point, I guess. But,
whereas if you make it to the championship, odds are you're starting Josh Allen.
That's really funny of you to say.
Hey, anything's possible. You were at as much fab as Jack had at this point last year, and he won. His team might have been a little better.
I wasn't here last year, but I'd be willing to bet he had a bit more to work with on his roster.
He did. But hey, if JT comes back, Pacheco comes back, it all could come back into place here. But yeah, and then I guess we'll back to the mid. Ryan, I have you here as well. I feel like that's fair. Me and you, even though we were in the green in all 3 of those, we're kind of the fringe green teams.
Yeah, I think I've been 3.5, and now I'm back at 3 again. So
yeah, because your 0.5 was when
I traded everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, at one point your 0.5 was because you had fab, and then you got it back for Bijan, and then you had fab, but your team was bad. So then, yeah, you flip flopped, and now I think you've settled into the middle here.
Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, each of the charts, I was like literally like if you did the thing where you moved it,
You've moved every week.
I would have been in. Well, no, if you moved the line to take out Joey or Jack, I would have been in the yellow or the red. So like
Yeah.
I was with all of them, I was right at the crevice. So I think squarely in the middle is probably mid undetermined
Right.
worthy.
But it's funny. I think you're probably the only person that every single week you've been in a different quadrant here.
Yeah, I would agree.
Other people have been pretty consistently where they've been. I have JC here because I forget exactly. I think he has a couple tough matchups this week. / he has Gibbs on bye. So his projection isn't great this week, but long term I think he's fine. And then down, I guess I'll say I have Potter and Matt in this mid section as well. I think they have pretty decent teams. Nothing really, outlandish to say about their long term or short term safety. I think they should be fine. And then Danger Zone, I've got Jake, David, and then Jack and Joey, obviously, because they don't have much going on. Jake's 0.5, I believe, just comes from Fab, barely right here. So that's the only thing that Jake has going for him. His team is pretty weak along with the rest of these guys. So, yeah, that's the breakdown this week. And now by team, Jonny coming in first last week. Justin Fields had a crazy game. I don't know if he'll. Who do the Steelers have this week? Because I don't know if he'll do that again. Maybe
Dallas.
He will.
He probably will.
Oh, okay. Never mind. He probably will. But a lot of no Reds here. Johnny's team's really solid. Acquires Mixon, so that really strengthens the running back room in theory. If Mixon does what he did week 1, should be good for the rest of the season. And then he's just got a really solid team. I would say I believe this is Roschon Johnson. Not a bad deeper flex play, and he dumped off Chuba and got some Fab back for that. So ultimately, John is still leading the league in Fab, and he's got a strong team. So he's in a good spot, but you could say he's in the Mark spot from last year, meaning you never know. You're never safe. JC, big performances, 3 20-plus point scores, which that'll get you by. Alvin Kamara, Chuba Hubbard, Jahmyr Gibbs. He's got a solid team. I think the receivers are very iffy, and you said he's not starting Keon Coleman, so that means he's starting someone else. He's starting Rashad Bateman. Wait, that is Rashad Bateman. No, he is starting Keon Coleman, Ryan. He's got
that's not great. That's not great.
So these are some very mediocre receivers. Maybe Christian Kirk is fine, but other than that, he's got a good team. The Vikings defense, if you guys didn't know, is the fantasy defense 1 on the year. Burrow's good. Kamara and Chuba Hubbard should be a good combo. Hubbard might, I don't know, when Jonathan Brooks should be coming back this week or next. I don't think it's this week, actually, but that'll slowly eat away at Chuba's workload. So I think that's why he's in kind of a tougher spot, is because he now has a running back that's going to lose his job in theory, and his receivers are kind of meh. So
how sold are we on Jonathan Brooks coming back and just
taking it over? No. It'll be gradual, I would imagine, with how well Chuba has been.
Right. That's why I'm not
committee at first.
I think he'll. I mean, I think Chuba's been so good. I don't know. Like, I almost see Brooks as like maybe slightly more involved than Blake Corum. Like, but I don't know how you just.
You mean
drop
Miles
him
Sanders?
in for Chuba? No, I'm like comparing him to another
Rams?
rookie in LA.
Okay, sure.
Like Blake Corum, like everybody's like, oh, highly touted rookie. He's gonna like
but Jonathan
eat into
Brooks was
Kyron.
the first running back taken in the draft.
Okay,
Even being injured, I feel like he was far and away the best running back coming into this year, rookie.
Do we think that Andy Dalton is their quarterback for the rest of the season?
Yeah,
I think until he starts playing badly and they start losing because of like bad Andy Dalton play, he's staying in. They'll throw in Bryce Young once they're losing anyway.
Okay,
that's my theory.
Yeah, because whoever the running back is very heavily dependent on who's quarterback.
That's true. And yeah, I think anyone who has a Panthers player probably, if they don't believe Dalton will be there the entire year, should probably try to. You could probably sell high on like Deontay Johnson, Chuba Hubbard. You can sell high on these guys. Even like Xavier Legette, as I've learned, is the correct pronunciation. So we'll see. I think Dalton will play for. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the whole year, and then next year they give Bryce Young a chance again. But yeah, so JC is kind of in a tougher spot than you'd really think. But we'll see. Next up is Potter, also getting the flame. Potter's trying to collect every accolade as quickly as possible, so he just needs an ice cube now. But getting Jaden Daniels is kind of huge, all the rushing upside, and then having CeeDee Lamb is great. After that, he's got some, he's not like super strong. Niners D is good. He just got them this week. And he has CMC now stashed for later, but it seems like the reports aren't great about CMC. It's not impossible he doesn't play at all this year. But at the very least, it's going to be a lot longer than we thought until he comes in. So tough. Also, quick kind of funny call out about Christian McCaffrey is I just had a gut feel. I had the first overall pick in another Guillotine league I was in, and I was just like, dude, I just do not want to take McCaffrey. I don't want to do it. I didn't know he was going to be out for 3 weeks, let alone 10 plus weeks, but I just didn't want him to get hurt. I thought he would get hurt after playing if he's coming in injured. Also, he never has back-to-back good years, so I was like, it's not worth it. So I took Brees, who has been good until last week, but I'm very proud of that decision because McCaffrey being out all year and having the first overall pick in Guillotine is pretty tough because then you have to wait 36 picks to pick again. But Bucky Irving, Justice Hill, they're okay. I mean, I think they're better than the analytics says. Like, these guys should have decent floors, but they're not flashy guys. Kyle Pitts, you never know when he's going to put up a dud. But other than that, I think Likely and Leggett and DJ Moore, like, okay pieces, I'd say. Not the strongest team, not the weakest team here. And as I said earlier, if Pitts puts up a goose egg tonight, could be a tough look. So, that's Potter. And now Mark. Baker Mayfield has been hot for him, so that's been working out. And I mean, just look at this. Look at all this green. Look at all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 1, 4, 3. And then Baker, who is probably better than 10, let's be honest. 10th best quarterback this week out of the 16 starters. This is this week rankings. I'm not super high on Garrett Wilson. Brandon Ayuk has been disappointing, but the analytics likes it, obviously, because he is the wide receiver. I guess he isn't the one. The 2 to Debo, I guess. But and then Chase Brown, who's just coming off a really good week. I traded him Chase Brown, and now I'm kind of wishing I still had him maybe. But yeah, I got some fab. But it's like the analytics likes these guys, but there are still some guys that are like ETN. The Jaguars have just been terrible as a whole. Garrett Wilson's been disappointing, and Ayuk's been disappointing. So we'll see. He's got a good team, though. Nothing really to worry about. He picks up Rashee Rice because technically he has not been ruled out for the rest of the season. We haven't gotten that.
I think the latest report is there's degrees of optimism that he will return in a month or so.
So watch out for this. I want to say I put $1 on Rice, maybe, because I had the same theory. I was like, I'll be willing to risk $1 or a small amount to.
Yeah, I think Mark did too. So $2.
He outdid me here. And then he did that trade where he gets 27 fab, throws away Amari Cooper, Michael Pittman, and Samaje Perine. In theory, he was never going to start Perine. Amari Cooper and Pittman could be flex plays, but he's got other guys that are clearly viable enough that this is a great move for him. He got rid of guys he didn't really need for fab. That'll be very useful. So, Mark's in a good spot. Fleming, another strong team. Wow, Kelsey is really the tight end one this week. That is I didn't notice that until right now, even though I did paste this picture in here. But
who's doing projections?
This is Fantasy Pros weekly projections. So
I could see that with, like, given that Rice is out, like, who else is going to?
And we just saw that Kelsey started to get involved last week because Rice was out. So I think Kelsey had his best performance of the year last week, which it wasn't. That's not saying much, but on the right trend. He adds Stephon Diggs to the mix because he had all that 55 fab from David and has Darnold, but lost Josh Allen. So you'd think by losing Josh Allen, his team would go down in the rankings or in strength, but I don't really think he did that much because he replaced, in theory, Josh Allen with Sam Darnold and Diggs and has fab on top of that. So I think he is in a fine spot. And Brian Robinson, Zach Moss are a pretty okay combo of running backs, and he's got a lot of receivers. And he's doubling up on the tight ends, which they're two pretty good tight ends, so hard to argue with it. So we will see. Ravens defense, watch out for that. We're going to torch them. It'll be a shootout. Joe Burrow's going off. They've actually had a pretty bad defense, weirdly enough, this year. From like a
They've had some tough matchups. I mean, Buffalo,
they were good
Kansas
against
City,
Buffalo.
yeah,
You said the Ravens
Dallas.
have a bad defense?
No, they don't have a bad defense. They've surprisingly had bad performances on defense.
Oh,
Like they're actually like not a hard match. Like, if you like look at the quarterback matchup for Burrow, I want to say it's green. Yeah, or like a
Well,
light green.
and I
actually-
think the only reason the Ravens defense is ranked poorly is because they have literally played Kansas City, Dallas, Buffalo, and somebody
other.
else.
Oh, Raiders, and they
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah. So, there you go.
The Dallas, you have to remember that for Dallas, even, because
Dallas
Dak
sucks.
put up a huge game, but it was in garbage time.
Yes,
Like,
that's
most
true.
of those points they gave up were like the game was over.
Very true.
The Chiefs actually went to work on them. They completely, obviously, as we know, shut out the Bills.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess it'll probably even itself out later. But my perception is that the Ravens are a very good defense. I would not
They
want
are.
to play against them.
They are. Especially if they're going to do that against the Bills. I mean, are you really ever going to bench them as a fantasy defense if they can do that to the Bills? So I understand the start. I'm just saying, watch out. I'm high this week that the Bengals will continue to come back and might have a good game against them. But I'm also terrified of Derrick Henry, ironically here. James has got a really good looking team here. I think outside of his like top receivers, Olave and T. Higgins, they're like serviceable, but not like studs. He brings in Tank Bigsby as a spot fill for J.K. Dobbins on bye, and then is this Dontavian Wicks, I believe, and JSN, so not bad at all, and Trey McBride, Jordan Love. Got the Jordan Love, Dontavian Wicks stack. Christian Watson out. David, is he out? Is he not playing this week?
Sorry. Yeah, he's most likely. I think he's technically doubtful right now, but they said it was a mild high ankle sprain, and he's probably out for 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I have kind of annoyed me. I started Dobbs last week, and I'm like, how does he not get more involved even after Christian Watson went out? It was Wicks and Jaden Reed getting all the love, and Dobbs didn't get it. So now it's like, okay, maybe this week it's his time. I have him on my bench.
Didn't Dobbs have like 7 or 8 targets?
Sure, targets, but I'm talking about he scored like 5 fantasy points. So that's not really going to get it done.
Yeah, he didn't get any touchdowns.
No touchdowns and only a couple catches. Yeah, he had 5.9, 4 catches, 39 yards. So I have a hard time benching him this week, but I also have a hard time starting him.
I mean, yeah, depends on your team, obviously.
It's
but
him or Mooney is my decision.
Dobbs or Mooney.
Mooney.
That's tough, actually. I don't know what I do. The thing is that there's, even with Watson gone, there's so many viable pass catchers in Green Bay. Like when you think of Jaden Reed is their best receiver. I think everybody agrees on that.
Absolutely.
But when you think of the game when we just stomped Dallas in the playoffs last year, I think Reed Dobbs was insane. Wicks was pretty good. I think Reed did not have a single catch. I think he was like 0 for 1.
Right.
Like he was just not involved for some weird reason. So
Crazy.
like that can happen.
It absolutely can. That's why, I don't know, I feel like it's hit or miss every week on which Packers receiver is going to pop off, but I'll feel really dumb if Dobbs pops off on my bench. Him over Mooney is a tough call. I like having someone to watch tonight. I like that I'd have 2 receivers tonight, that every time someone has the ball, I can root for a receiver to catch it. It's like, I don't know, that's fun. But I also don't think it's a dumb decision either to start Mooney. He seems to have a great floor with some upside as well. Okay, but James' team, I mean, solid. Derrick Henry's a tank. And Jordan Love should continue to do work. So, he's in a good spot. Ben with the big week from Kenneth Walker, but now has Barkley out, so he kind of needs Kenneth Walker to carry the load. Devin Singletary's questionable, but I think should play. Rashad White seems to be losing his job, and his receivers are still very mediocre, but he's been fine working with them. This is Pickens and Shaheed, and then he has Njoku, and honestly, I don't know that person's face whatsoever.
Jalen Polk.
Oh, Jalen Polk. Is it Jalen or Jalen?
I don't know. It's got the apostrophe.
You're right, so it should be Jalen. You're right.
I'm pretty sure it's Jalen.
So we'll see. I mean, maybe. Patriots haven't really been getting it going, but he is seemingly the best receiver on that team. And he has 52 fab, so I think the big storyline here is not having Barkley gonna hurt him, but he's got some okay guys here. Purdy's getting it done. All right, Matt's team coming off. He came off 2 top 25% performances, and now he's kind of had a mediocre week. But he's got a good team, all things considered. The flexes are where he's kind of weak. He's got Whittington and Trey Sermon, and Trey Sermon is not viable at all if Jonathan Taylor does play this week. And Schultz has been pretty bad, to be honest. But I like these top 5 guys: Dak, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, DK, Marvin Harrison Jr. Great guys there. All those guys score points, it seems like. So, good for him. And he acquires Zamir White, Trey Sermon, and Jordan Whittington, 2 guys that he's starting this week. So he's kind of low on fab with 37, but his team is pretty average with some weakness at flex is what I would say about Matt's team. All right, to Jake. Once again, I predicted him to get eliminated, and he didn't because of a crazy performance. This week it was DeAndre Swift. And then once again, Jake makes no waiver claims. He is just asking for it. I've 2 weeks in a row had him as my prediction to get eliminated, and I know as soon as I don't predict him to get eliminated, he's going to get eliminated. So it's like I have a tough choice, as we'll get into it later when I make my prediction. But it's like, what do I do with Jake here? It's like, he's going to keep surviving with this garbage, or like I'm not even like trying to. It's not a personal attack at Jake. This is just a garbage. I hate the Browns doubling up on Browns receivers and doubling up on Broncos running backs. And now he has Jalen Hurts on bye. But I gave him Geno Smith for $3, which, Geno Smith just had a good performance, so we'll see if he can do that again. But in theory, he needs someone to carry him, and that's most likely Kyron. And don't they play the Packers this week? Isn't it Rams-Packers? So, could happen. Maybe.
I can't remember. It's either... I think so, yeah.
Dude, you got to know who the Packers are playing, right?
Yeah, you'd think I would. No, I know it's either Arizona or Rams, because I remember those are our next 2 games. I just don't remember which comes first.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's... Yeah, I'm not going to look it up, but yeah.
Arizona has San Fran, so it's the Rams.
Okay, so it's the Rams.
Or Packers-Rams. So, yeah, okay. So, tough spot, especially with Jalen Hurts on bye this week. We'll see what happens. Phillips' team, kind of a bad-ish week, or more of just like a mediocre week, but not terrible. Nico Collins seems... I mean, he is the best receiver right now in the NFL. Tyreek Hill has been hurt by the fact that they have no competent quarterback throwing the football. But Lamar's been really good. Bijan could be better, but he still is a great play. And Phillip has to decide between Carson Steele and Tyrone Tracy this week, it seems, because Carson Steele may or may not have lost the job, and Tyrone Tracy is really only viable if Devin Singletary is out and/or...
Is Singletary supposed to be out? Like, do we?
He's just questionable. I don't think he's supposed to be out. But in theory, if you have an injured running back, you don't feed them the ball 25-plus times a game, so other running backs get used. And Phillip just needs someone who can give him a somewhat viable floor, I think, in that spot, because he's got Worthy, Odunze, and I think he actually has Alan Lazardin over Odunze, which might be a good call, actually. And Zach Ertz has been very, I don't know, serviceable would be the word. 15 fab, though. Didn't spend any this week, so I think he should be okay. But keep an eye on the whole Chiefs running back situation with Carson Steele. And now my team, I was in a tough spot. I had a chance to get eliminated this week, but then before Mark Andrews put up a goose egg, saved me. And Geno Smith had a crazy good week to propel me out of Ice Cube territory, actually, so I didn't get one this week. But my running backs have been kind of iffy. Ramondre Stevenson, the report is he might be losing the job. In theory, I'd want to keep that information quiet in case no one knew that. But it is what it is.
He's not losing the job.
I don't think so either. That's the thing. I could panic. They are playing Miami this week. They are both Gibson and Ramondre Stevenson are probably both startable. There's no way they just bench Ramondre outright. But
Eric, are you worried about Sauce shutting down Jettas?
No. I'm gonna go with
You are now, though.
No,
you are now.
I already knew that. The thing is, it doesn't matter. If it comes to a guy like last week when I had Sauce on Cortland Sutton, yeah, it's Cortland Sutton. I'm going to bench him. But it's Justin Jefferson. It doesn't matter who he's playing. I have to start him. I'm never going to consider benching him or trading him just because of one
Didn't
matchup.
Sutton
You
have
know
a
what I mean?
good game?
He did. He scored. So F me, I guess. Like that whole last week. That was kind of why I made that one slide where I was talking about overreacting. Like I traded away Pittman because he's been bad and he was playing the Steelers. Terrible matchup. He ends up having a great game. Cortland Sutton, I was kind of also trying to trade him away, but I ended up not. And I didn't want to start him, though, so I didn't because of the bad matchup, and he scored. So I'm like, well, it's made two bad decisions, I guess. Started Mooney and Dobbs instead of Pittman and Sutton. Put me in a dangerous spot going into Monday. But anyway, I got a little bit of fab for some whatever players, and then I picked up a bunch of guys for zero fab. And I think I'm going to be starting Eric All this week, and I think I will start Flacco if Flacco plays.
I don't think he's going to play.
Yeah, it's sad. Really sad, actually. I really would have liked to start Flacco because Dalton has the Bears, and that's like, I guess, a tough-ish matchup. Apparently, the Bears have a good defense, so. But I'm going to roll with it. He's been former team, the Bears, so he's got maybe some vengeance there. But I still like him. He's okay. He'll be fine. But that's it for my team, I guess, all to say. Mooney or Dobbs is still my decision. Probably leaning Mooney at this point because I like watching people on Thursday night. On to Huff's team. He was on a heater, back-to-back stars, and now he almost got an ice cube. It seems like Achane is slipping because every one of the Dolphins is slipping. Drake London is definitely not performing up to his first-round pick draft capital, and Kyler Murray just had a bad week, and there's a chance he could continue to regress, or he's fine. Who knows? But so Huff's team is not looking as like hot as it used to a couple weeks ago, just because of those couple guys that are slipping. But I still think he's got a very strong kind of core. He should have a good floor here. I don't think Huff is in danger of getting eliminated, but not as strong as I thought a week ago. So now on to Ryan.
That's a lot of yellow.
Big dud from Greece. Hey, but in theory, this is a great place to be. You don't have anyone that's in a terrible spot, like a terrible matchup or something where they're projected to be lower. Well, you've got a bunch of average guys. If there's 16 teams, you're basically right at the average on every single player, except for Broncos defense is the best matchup of the week apparently against the Raiders, I believe. So, and
they just absolutely destroy the Jets.
Yeah, but the Jets, I wouldn't call the Jets like a powerhouse of an offense yet. But
it looked that way
neither are the Raiders.
Against the Patriots. They looked that way against the Patriots.
Okay, against the Patriots. I guess the Patriots have a decent
defense. The Patriots are not good.
Their defense is fine.
Oh. Week 1 Bengals would beg to differ. But you did the trade where you trade away Juwan Jennings and 5 fab to get Jerome Ford as a spot fill for Monty, which is probably good. Juwan Jennings could have some value going forward, but not really long term. So I don't know. Not a bad move for JC either, getting 5 fab out of it. So I'd say it's a mutually good trade, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. There's really much to say. You got an average amount of fab and you got an average team. So that's Ryan's team in a nutshell right now. Jack getting an ice cube, resurrected though, but it's weird that I give him an ice cube when he gets resurrected because he did a good thing, but still, he made some good moves like the Trey Tucker and Trevor Lawrence. I didn't love the start, but he got it done, and then his third highest score was not a single digit, but he had a bunch of guys that like no one really dudded for him last week, which helped. Like he had just enough floor plays that got him ahead of Joey and David. Actually, he outscored David last week as well. Now this week he does that trade with Mark to get Pittman and Amari Cooper, P. Ryan. He got Tutu Atwell from me, and then picks up Mark Andrews and a couple other guys. So Mark Andrews, I'm like weirdly terrified this is about to be like
I low-key
a pop-off game from Mark Andrews against the Bengals.
I low-key don't hate his team. I mean, if you go like down, if you go like down the line, I forget who Cleveland has, but they have an easy matchup. Like Gibson and Ramondre are both startable against Miami. P. Ryan solid.
Washington, Pittman against Jacksonville.
They're all, and Mark Andrews is just like, I mean, if he goes for like 15, you're not like surprised. You're like, it's about time,
Right.
Like
it is.
And Tutu Atwell is the wide receiver 1.
it is absolutely wild that Andrews was obtained for 1 fab, but I also get it because he's been just inexplicably terrible
You
for
can't.
whatever reason.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny because like I'm not spending 1 fab on him, but if you're jacked, you're like, yeah, sure, I'll spend
think-
a fab. Like I'll spend $1 on him.
I feel like I did put a bid on him. Maybe it was a $0 bid, but I didn't not touch him. Like I think if I go back, I'm looking at it right now. 2 bids. Yeah, I was the only person. Only 2 people bid on Mark Andrews. He put $1. I put $0. No one else even bid on Andrews. So that is
Crazy.
surprising, actually. I would have been happy to have him for 0 fab because there's still the upside. But the thing is, in a league like this, if a guy just put up 2 goose eggs, how much of a risk are you willing to take? I mean, if you're Jack and you're in this situation, sure, take that risk. But if you're a normal team that probably has another option, you're not going to take that risk. So that's the name of the game in Guillotine. But David, your team now. Jonathan Taylor put up a good performance, but got hurt. So now you have JT and Pacheco. And as we went over that whole video, basically all your top 5 picks are hurt or bad because of someone else hurt, like Waddle. But now you have Josh Allen, and you lost 55 fab, so you're pretty poor. But you have some serviceable guys, you could say. You got Kareem Hunt in now with Dowdle and Wan'Dale Robinson, who may be the wide receiver 1, which
I like Kareem. I think
I like Kareem Hunt. Yeah, sure.
I'm
mean,
very
when-
happy to have gotten
when
Kareem.
when Steele went out, I mean, it was just he basically is Pacheco, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the fact that he went for like $11 for essentially like a fill-in running back till Pacheco gets back, like $11 is like not like that's a lot of fab for a fill-in, but I think that's kind of the value that he's going to bring while he's in there.
But also,
I'm definitely banking on him like winning the job while Pacheco is out. That's my only hope.
and then you have Pacheco. As
if
soon as
I'm gonna-
Pacheco comes back, you have him. So it's like
Yeah.
a good
So
situation.
if I manage to get like the primary guy in Kareem until Pacheco's back, that'd be pretty clutch. It's hard to say if that's actually going to be the case. Maybe they just wanted to Steele fumbled and they were just like, okay, you're done for the night. But then he starts
exactly.
this week.
You never know.
You don't know.
it's
I gotta
it's a
take
scary.
chances at this point.
And then P. Ryan, I think, is the more consistent piece in this equation where you kind of know what you're going to get from P. Ryan. It's going to be less than whoever the top guy is, but it might be better than whoever gets the short end of the stick, which is I feel like should be Steele at this point. But we'll see. And then you have Evan Ingram, who I think is finally coming back from injury.
Will he finally play?
I don't know. So I
He's
don't love
supposed to.
Ingram, even if he does play, just because all Jaguars are just kind of bums right now, unless you're Brian Thomas, I guess, or Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's those guys are okay.
Christian Kirk's been pretty good. ETN has been solid given the context of the team. Like, I mean, I've been starting Brenton Strange the past couple of weeks because Ingram has been out. So give me Ingram for sure.
He'll get you 3 points. It seems Strange, like each week.
Yeah, he's good. So yeah, Ingram is. I'll be happy if he finally plays for sure.
Yeah. And then the kind of the funny thing to point out is these are wide receiver 1s in theory this week. Wan'Dale if Neighbors is out, and then Jacoby Myers if Devontae Adams does not play because
he's not going to play.
He's not going to play, and he wants to get traded.
Yeah, they said they're not expecting him to play. I don't think he plays for the Raiders anymore. Yeah. I think he's sidelined until he gets traded.
And so going back to JC has Devontae Adams. So right now it hurts because Devontae Adams is not playing. But as soon as Devontae Adams goes to the Jets, now it's looking pretty good to have Devontae Adams back with Aaron Rodgers.
I hope he goes to the Jets. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun place for him to go for sure.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I got Tank Dell coming back, and I'm excited that he'll be playing, even though he hasn't been great this year. At least he's somebody that I know is capable of being a great player. And then I'm probably gonna start Braylon Allen.
Ooh, I like that.
Again this week. I just can't start Waddle. I can't do it. The
Benching
Dolphins.
Waddle. Even
I
though
can't.
they have the Patriots.
Dude, Tua cannot. I mean, that's the only thing is the Patriots. But it's funny you mentioned Dobbs and Mooney because in another league, I'm debating starting Dobbs or Mooney over Tyreek in the flex.
Oh, that's tough. In our league,
because that's how
leagues,
bad.
I have Tyreek in our other redraft who I'm probably benching this week finally.
So that's the but like the thing is that Tyreek and Waddle are so freaking good, and so too. And by the way, if I know you kind of got your like you got your whatever
Stance on
issues
Tua.
with Tua, but like if this doesn't show how valuable of a quarterback he is for this team, I don't know what does. Because
No, I
they
think-
went from a solid offense to like this is worse than Carolina and Bryce Young. They literally cannot do anything.
I think another way you could flip it or you could twist it is this shows the value of having a good backup, which they don't have. If they had Andy Dalton, if the Dolphins had Andy Dalton, and yes, I'm going to use Andy Dalton, the Tyreek Hill and Waddle would be double-digit scorers every single week.
Yeah.
So
that's and Tua. I think they're targeting like week 8 for Tua to be back.
Yes, that's what I heard.
So obviously he can't come back soon enough, but
and good thing they've got a bye in that span, so that like you don't even have to sweat over starting him in that week. Tough call. On in theory, Braylon Allen's safer. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, Waddle's floor is, if you look at him, is 5. He has not scored less than 5.
Well, his ceiling is also 5.
So floor and ceiling is 5. He's scoring 5. If you put
he's a lock for 5. So, but Braylon Allen, he actually on the field looks like a talented running back, and so if he happens to get the carry where he scores on, he's got. And at this point, I kind of need to shoot my shot on ceiling plays.
Sure.
If I'm going to stay alive.
Sometimes it's what you got to do when you're in this situation. So.
And then Jonathan Taylor might actually play this week. It looks like.
Who knows?
Which I'm.
Then you'll definitely bench Waddle. I would say.
Obviously, but like if he plays, obviously, I have a hard time thinking Taylor will actually play, and if he does, then I'll probably try to trade him for somebody who can afford to wait a week. But I want to see, probably once I see the practice report for him today, I'll decide whether I'm trading him or not.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. All right, and last but not least, but actually least, yes, Joey. Joey, Steve, David and Joey being second to last and last week. I mean, with all the injuries, it kind of makes sense. That's what happens when you have that many injuries. So not really much you can do about that, but he is started to put together a team. So far, he's got Daniel Jones, Josh Reynolds, Juju. We saw him during this video pick up Taysom Hill. He's got the Falcons defense. So still a lot of spots to fill, but I'll never count someone fully out, but it's tough. I mean, he is in a tough spot to try to climb out of this one. So I'm not optimistic. But now my new power rankings. I shifted a lot around. I thought I had everyone kind of figured out, like weeks 3 and 4, but now I think I was too high on my team. I pulled myself down. I think I was a little too high on JC's team. He's come down a little bit. And Mark and Jonny, both with, it's about time that I put them here, given that they both have Fab and their teams are good. And then you kind of get down here to Huff, who's good team, also has a lot of Fab, actually more than Mark, but not quite as good of a team as Mark currently. Fleming, great team, low Fab. And so I knocked Huff down from the top to put them 2 above. I think that's fair. And James, he's just been kind of quietly a good team. Derrick Henry leading the way. JC slipping down, given, I don't know, just some of his players have kind of been underperforming, and then now Devontae's sitting, so we'll see. Myself dropped it down with Ramondre kind of slipping. I wouldn't say I have a stud at quarterback, but I always seem to have someone serviceable every week. And Phillip is I feel like I want to put him higher because like we mentioned last week, Ryan, that he has all these like championship startable players like Lamar and Nico Collins and Tyreek. Eventually, when Tua comes back, that he will be starting in the championship. And Bijan, so he's in a great spot. Even though I'm not putting him higher, he's in a great spot. And Ryan, I brought you up a little bit. Even after the bad Brees performance, I still feel like you're in a pretty okay spot. A little better than you were last week. I don't mind the move to get Jerome Ford as a startable guy. And then Potter didn't really change much on the rankings, just stayed about where he was, just fell down 1. Ben, I kept him where he was at. I know, Ben, you're going to say, why did I not bump you up? Kenneth Walker just scored 30 points. But he has to do it more than once. Like James, I waited until Derrick Henry did it twice to bump him up because of having Derrick Henry. But we'll see. Kenneth Walker's great, but looking at everything on your team, I still think you're right about here, which isn't like a terrible spot. And Matt, I kind of surprisingly had him slip down pretty far this week. He came off of 2 really hot weeks, so I don't want to like let that bias my opinion here, because I think his team is still kind of on the back half of the league in terms of talent, and he's a little lower on Fab. He only has like 37, I think, so tough spot. David, I kept you where you were. I still think you're above Jake. I just do not like Jake's team. I've said it before, and it is not personal. I just don't like his team. And then Jack, and then Joey, as it would make sense given their situations. So, I don't know. Anything you guys have extremely against this ranking?
No, I'm in agreement. Yeah, like solid list.
I mean, I feel like you have a better feel for like, because you're looking at everybody's teams more in depth each week. So I feel like I don't really, for the most part, know. But the only thing I would say is that I think if waiting for another week from Ken Walker is the only thing stopping you from bumping Ben up a spot or two, I think Ken Walker has shown that he's him. He popped off week 1. He had a great week 1. He got hurt at the very end, out 2 weeks, and then he exploded against one of the best run defenses in the league this week, coming off of injury. Like he's him. I don't need to see it another week.
Right. Yeah, you could make the argument I could bump him up, flip him and Potter, but I think that's where I'd stop. Bumping Ben up at right now currently, because Potter, I mean, he has studs of his own. CeeDee Lamb, his running backs aren't good, but Jaden Daniels, CeeDee Lamb. But then after that, kind of mid guys all around. But Ben's
and that's why I was saying, I was just talking about the one player. Like obviously, there's more players on every team.
Absolutely, yeah. And with, not that I'm really taking buys into my weekly power rankings, but Saquon is on bye. That did not affect my ranking of him though. Okay, yeah, that is my power rankings. Now, finally, into my predictions to get eliminated. I have 2 here, so maybe before I say mine, David and Ryan, you guys want to give your 1 and or 2 people that you think could be a hot take, could be the obvious pick?
I can go first because I have a call in 5 minutes. But I actually think Jack survives. That's not like a hot take.
That is kind of a hot take. He has to outscore 3 people, including Joey, so 2 really, not including Joey.
Yeah, well, I think he survives. I think the 2 that go are, and this is like, I guess this is a hot take, but it's like actually my take. That was a brutal voice crack.
Nice.
I think Ben goes on the Saquon bye, and I think Madsen goes if Taylor plays. If JT plays, I think he goes. Those are my 2. I don't have a contingency.
Those are like hotter takes than like saying like David or Jake or something like that, or Jack.
I think David's like I like these aren't. This isn't like me trying to be spicy. I think David makes it.
But they are kind of spicy.
But it's not clickbait. Like those are my real real thoughts. So there you go.
All right, David. I like it, Ryan.
All right.
Who do you have?
You guys.
You gonna head out? Okay.
Actually, I'll listen to David.
Yeah, don't you want to see mine, Ryan?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. All right, make it quick so
We'll be quick.
Is 2 of them include like?
Don't include Joey.
I don't include Joey or Jack personally, because I don't think it's that much of a hot take to say a resurrected team gets eliminated because it's hard.
Okay. Well, if I can't pick those guys, then Ryan, I appreciate your faith in me, but I honestly believe I'm pretty likely to go this week. I'm holding out hope that JT plays, but if
the reverse jinx always works.
I would say he doesn't play. And then in terms of I don't know, like I said, I feel like I needed to prepare more for this to like look at lineups. Who has Jalen Hurts on bye this week?
Jake.
Is that Jake? Then okay. Was he one of the ones I wasn't supposed to pick?
No, you can pick Jake. You're picking these 2 then.
Okay. Well, that's hardly a hot take, but sorry. I remember when we were going through that team, I was like, oh, that sounds kind of rough if he's missing Jalen Hurts, and we were looking at some of the other plays. So,
right.
I guess I'm not going with any hot takes.
That's okay. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a hot take. I've been wrong picking the most likely person. It seems like to get eliminated every week, and I've never been right. But here's who I have. I've got Jake and Ben, so I was surprised that I thought Ben was kind of a hot take, but Ryan agreed with me. Just given the Saquon situation. I mean, Kenneth Walker, if he does what he did again, Ben will be fine. It's not like his team is trash, but that's more my hot take. Jake, I can't not predict him now until he does something, because I'll feel like an idiot if as soon as I don't predict him to get eliminated, he's gonna get eliminated. And now I think with 2 people on the block, he's got a tough task ahead of him. Some of his guys have got to step up.
I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of hoping you would predict me to get eliminated, because that would just give me hope that I might not.
Because I'm wrong every single week. You guys should want to be on this, because I'm wrong all the time on this.
You were an average Jennings performance away from being right on mine.
I'll go give myself props on that. I predicted you and Jake in the double elimination week. Jake had the crazy Kyron performance, and you had the crazy Javon Jennings performance. I would have been right if both of those guys didn't do that. Both would have been gone. So
that was tough.
I'm not an idiot, guys. I'm kind of right sometimes, but I just have not been right.
Yeah,
yet.
I mean, I think 40 whatever from Jennings it obviously wasn't a Monday night, survival, but that could be in the conversation for like crazy survival things, is like getting 41 from Jennings to
that low-key. Yeah, it makes it less like electric because it didn't happen on Monday, but you're right.
Yeah.
The likelihood of that is low.
Yeah.
But what would have been crazy is if you needed like 30 and he got you 40, but you really only needed like 15, which is more reasonable.
Yeah.
Imagine that though. If the rest of your team scores like a combined 25 and Juwan Jennings scores 40 and you survive.
Yeah, that would have been something.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up here. I know, Ryan, you got to go, and
that was probably pushing 70 minutes. Yeah,
hour 6 is what we're at. Hour 7. So I mean that's what'll happen if we have people on, and I'm okay with it if it takes that long. But any of you guys are welcome to join in as long as you're free on a Thursday around noon. Typically, it's about usually around when I record this. So, but anyway, good work, boys. Thanks for hopping on, and I will catch you guys this week. And good luck.
Peace.
Yep. See ya.